Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're really getting into the weeds with the source data from the Infusion Battle Arena's Episode 5 simulations.
That's right.
And we're not just, reading off the scores. We're aiming to dig deep into the combat criteria, understand why these 4 specific fighters performed like they did.
Exactly. 4 fighters, 4 tiers.
Yeah, 1 from each. Street, Enhanced, Superhuman, and Metahuman. We want to see how they stacked up across 5 really tough matchups.
And the core mission here is to analyze that performance through the lens of the arena's own rules, especially the tier rules.
Crucial point.
Yeah, because those rules set the baseline physicals, right? A street tier guy like Richard Dragon, he physically maxes out at peak human. That's it.
Whereas an enhanced fighter, say Winter Soldier, is clearly beyond that. Some low-level superhuman stuff going on.
Precisely. So the interesting part is seeing how things like training, smarts, sheer willpower, how they stack up against those hard physical limits. Do they overcome them or do they hit a wall?
It's a fantastic setup for this episode. Really tests that whole skill versus power dynamic.
No, the lineup. Street tier, we've got Richard Dragon, the sort of ultimate martial arts master.
Sage master, yeah.
Then moving up to enhanced, it's Winter Soldier. Bucky Barnes, tactical genius, cybernetic arm, the whole package.
Heavy hitter in that tier.
Definitely. Superhuman tier brings us the ever-loving blue-eyed thing, Ben Grimm.
Yeah.
Just pure granite toughness and brawling experience.
Can't beat that Yancey street cred.
Exactly. And then metahuman tier. This one's tricky. We're looking at Sentry. The golden problem, as they call him.
Immense power, but
yeah,
volatile.
Right. And like we always say, the arena isn't about potential power. It's about applying it. Consistency, combat proficiency, those are the metrics that really count. Okay, let's unpack this. Where should we start? Maybe with the guy who seems to bend the tier rules the most.
Sounds good. Let's begin with Richard Dragon. He's the perfect example of skill maximization. Street tier, absolutely no powers.
But his combat proficiency is rated as unprecedented. What that means, practically, in the arena simulation. He operates at almost 0 tactical error. It's insane.
0% error. Wow.
Pretty much. His whole advantage comes from perfect technique, perfect timing. He sees and exploits tiny openings others wouldn't even register.
And the results back that up, even against other top-tier fighters. First up, Bronze Tiger, another master martial artist. Dragon takes it, but barely. 55%.
It's razor thin. But that analysis suggests Dragon's calm, that sort of sage master composure, just gives him the edge slightly more often. He dictates the pace just a fraction more than Tiger's controlled ferocity allows.
Okay, but here's where, like you said, it gets a bit controversial. How does that skill hold up against actual physical enhancements, like Captain America?
Yeah, this is the big one. Cap's got the super soldier serum. He's faster, stronger, tougher, clearly enhanced tier physicality.
But Dragon still wins 55%. How?
It seems counterintuitive, I know, especially given the tier rules about physical limits.
Right. How does the simulation even quantify negating Cap's enhancements, especially since Cap himself is a brilliant fighter?
Well, it boils down to timing and defense, really. In those winning scenarios, Dragon isn't trying to match Cap punch for punch. He can't.
Okay.
Instead, he's using things like pressure points, leverage, perfect parries. He's disarming Cap, disrupting his balance, hitting nerve clusters. His skill lets him avoid the brunt of Cap's power strikes most of the time.
So he neutralizes the strength advantage before it fully lands in, 55 at 100 fights?
Essentially, yes. He makes the physical gap irrelevant just over half the time through sheer technique.
That logic then carries over to Deathstroke, which is equally mind-blowing. Slade's enhanced, brilliant tactician, ruthless, armed, still 55% for Dragon.
Yeah, and that narrow win against Slade really emphasizes Dragon's technical superiority over Slade's more enhancement-reliant tactics. Slade's smart, no doubt, but he often uses his physical edge as a core part of his strategy.
Which Dragon negates.
Exactly. Dragon's near-perfect defense and timing means Slade's own aggression gets turned back on him frequently enough to give Dragon the majority.
Okay, I'm starting to see the pattern. What about against powers that aren't just physical? Iron Fist. Danny Rand's chi punches are serious business.
They are. But Dragon still pulls off 55%.
Ow. Chi isn't something you just parry.
True. But she needs, focus. It needs a moment to gather and apply effectively. Dragon's speed and precision allow him to disrupt Danny's concentration just enough, often making him miss the full impact or forcing a weaker application of the Iron Fist.
He fights the technique before it fully forms.
That's a good way to put it.
And the last one, Zealot. Centuries of experience, Caravan physiology making her enhanced. Dragon takes a solid 60% here.
Yeah, this one really drives it home. Even centuries of combat and innate physical advantages aren't enough against perfectly applied skill, according to the arena's metrics. It's a clear statement. Pure skill can absolutely neutralize a significant physical edge, at least at that street-enhanced border.
All right, that's a deep dive into skill. Let's shift gears now, move up the power scale to the enhanced tier. Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes.
Okay.
We've got the super soldier background, that incredibly useful cybernetic arm, and he's known for very precise, calculated tactics. How does that package fare against his peers?
Bucky's performance is interesting. He's very methodical, very disciplined. His results really seem to depend on whether he's facing someone similarly structured or someone more chaotic.
Makes sense. So, first matchup, Black Widow. Another super spy, highly skilled.
Right, and Bucky takes this one 55%. It's close, but his physical edge from the serum plus the cybernetics combined with just sheer battlefield mileage gives him that slight majority. That arm is just too much an unbreakable shield or an unstoppable punch that Natasha's skill alone can't consistently counter.
But then his calculated approach hits a snag against someone like Daredevil.
It does. Matt Murdock's senses and his really fluid, almost unpredictable combat style let him slip past Bucky's marksmanship and predictive counters. Daredevil actually takes the majority here, 53%, Bucky's 47%.
So the sensory advantage messes with Bucky's predictions.
Exactly. Bucky relies on predicting standard human movement, physics, angles. Daredevil, using his radar sense, operates slightly outside those norms. He anticipates Bucky's moves in ways Bucky isn't prepared for, giving him that crucial edge.
Okay, and then, well, then there's Deadpool, and Bucky's numbers just plummet, 35% win rate. Ouch!
Yeah, that's a brutal drop. It really shows the limits of Bucky's precision approach. Wade Wilson is pure chaos.
He heals from everything.
Right. That healing factor completely negates Bucky's main tactic, lethal efficiency. Bucky wants quick elimination. Against Deadpool, that's off the table. It becomes a long, draining fight, and Wade's unpredictability just overwhelms Bucky's methodical style.
So chaos beats calculation there. Does that pattern hold against Nightwing? Dick Grayson's known for his agility and improvisation.
It does, mostly. Nightwing gets the edge, 54% to Bucky's 46%. Dick's acrobatics and ability to just flow and adapt keeps him one step ahead. Bucky's more linear, planned approach struggles to consistently lock down that kind of fluid three-dimensional movement.
But when Bucky faces someone more grounded, the advantages come back. Like against Punisher.
Absolutely. Frank Castle has grit, he has firepower, but it's not enough here. Bucky's enhanced training, his durability from the serum, and especially that cybernetic arm, they give him a clear advantage. He wins 62% of the time. In a straight-up firefight or close quarters battle, Bucky's just better equipped.
Okay, makes sense. Now let's jump up another level. Superhuman tier. It's clobberin' time. The Thing. Ben Grimm.
The benchmark for durable brawlers.
Exactly. He's got incredible strength and durability, obviously, but also tons of experience. And surprisingly good technique from all those years with the FF.
Yeah, Ben's not just a brute. He knows how to fight. But even he runs into limitations based purely on, well, materials.
Like against Colossus.
Right. Against Piotr, Ben only pulls 45% wins. The reason? Colossus's organic steel form is just fundamentally tougher and allows for greater striking power. Piotr's baseline physicals are simply higher than Ben's rock hide can consistently handle. Colossus gets the 55% majority.
A straight-up power difference. And what happens when the opponent doesn't even play by the physical rules? Juggernaut.
Oh boy. Yeah, against Juggernaut, Ben only gets 30%. This is where the tier rules become absolute. Cain Marco isn't just durable, he's mystically invulnerable and literally unstoppable when moving.
You can't punch magic away.
Pretty much. Ben's physical force, no matter how immense, just doesn't apply effectively against that kind of magical bypass. It highlights a clear tier gap, almost.
But Ben does much better when facing opponents closer to his durability level, especially if they lack his fighting smarts, like Luke Cage.
Exactly. He takes a solid 60% against Luke Cage. Cage is incredibly durable, unbreakable skin and all that.
Right.
But Ben has greater raw strength overall, better general toughness, and way more experience in high-level combat. He knows how to absorb hits, how to position himself, how to leverage his power better. That experience gives him the clear edge over Cage's raw durability.
Same principle against Rhino.
Similar idea, yeah. 58% win for Ben. Rhino is just pure charging power. Very linear, not much finesse.
Head down. Charge.
Basically. Ben's technique and his ability to adapt on the fly let him interrupt those charges, outmaneuver Alexei, and just generally outlast him.
And finally, Savage Dragon. Another tough, experienced brawler.
Yep, and Ben gets a slight edge here too, 55%. Savage Dragon is incredibly resilient, tons of police training grit, but in a long, drawn-out slugfest, Ben's superior overall durability and his slightly more controlled application of power tend to win out more often. Ben's history as a team player, knowing positioning, probably helps too.
All right, that covers the superhuman slugger.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the top tier, metahuman. And our focus character is Sentry, the golden problem.
This is where things get really complex. Sentry has power levels up there with the heaviest hitters. Kryptonian level strength, speed, energy projection.
Still works.
But
There's always that massive asterisk. Mental state, extreme instability.
and how does that play out in the arena sims? Because raw power is off the charts. His power metrics are consistently top-tier metahuman, no doubt. Durability, energy output, it's all there. But the arena criteria heavily penalizes inconsistency. And Sentry is the definition of inconsistent because of his mental state.
So stability becomes the key factor.
Absolutely, you see it again and again. Tactical discipline, mental stability, these consistently overcome Sentry's raw but volatile power.
Okay, let's look at the matchups. First, against someone with comparable raw power, but maybe less versatility, Savage Hulk.
Right, Sentry actually takes a narrow majority here, 55%. His versatility is the key. He can fly, he can project energy. He has more ways to potentially end the fight quickly before the Hulk's rage ramps up to truly infinite levels. His physicals are close enough to Hulk's starting point.
And against Hyperion, another Superman analog type.
Even closer, Sentry edges it out at 52%. The simulations apparently show these fights as near-identical slugfests. Sentry gets that tiny edge, likely due to slightly wider energy manipulation options compared to Hyperion's heat vision focus. Just a bit more versatility again.
Okay, but now, what happens when he faces opponents who aren't just powerful, but also incredibly disciplined and experienced, like Thor?
Now the instability becomes a major liability. Thor takes the win 55% of the time. The data points to Thor's discipline, his centuries of combat experience, and the sheer versatility of Mjolnir exploiting Sentry's mental weaknesses.
Oh, so.
The analysis specifically noted that in about 15% of Sentry's losses to Thor, it was due to clear strategic mistakes or burning through his power reserves too quickly because of mental overload or panic. Thor forces errors.
That consistency penalty you mentioned
It
really kicks in here.
Massively. And it's even clearer against Superman. Sentry only manages 45% wins.
Only 45% against Superman. Why the drop?
It's simple, really. Superman embodies stability. He has vast experience, near-perfect tactical consistency, and a completely stable mindset under pressure. When power levels are broadly comparable, that stability becomes the deciding factor. The arena rule is crystal clear. Consistency beats volatile power variance almost every time at this level.
Wow. And does that same logic apply against Wonder Woman?
It does. Diana also takes 55% of the wins against Sentry. Her divine training gives her incredible focus, her tactical brilliance is top-notch, and importantly, her weapons are magical.
Which can often bypass conventional durability or exploit weaknesses.
Exactly. All his factors combine to effectively target and exploit Sentry's unstable psyche. When the raw power is near equal, a chaotic mind just can't reliably defeat perfect focus and strategy.
Okay, so looking back at all four fighters and their results.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway from this whole deep dive into Episode 5?
Well, I think there are two main things that the arena data really highlights here. First, down at the lower tiers, like with Richard Dragon, we see that technical mastery, when applied perfectly, can genuinely overcome significant physical advantages. Skill isn't just skill, it's a force multiplier.
Right. Perfect skill neutralized enhancement, repeatedly.
And then second, when you get up to the metahuman level, where the raw power numbers start to even out amongst the top contenders, the fight fundamentally shifts. It's less about who hits harder and more about who keeps their head straight.
Mental state becomes paramount.
Precisely. Stability, discipline, tactical consistency like we saw with Superman, Thor, Wonder Woman beating Sentry. Those become the crucial elements that decide who wins when facing that kind of volatile, immense power.
That really hits home. It means, for you listening, understanding how skills are applied and how mental state affects performance is just as vital as knowing the baseline stats. It applies everywhere, really, not just in these simulations.
Absolutely.
So what's it all mean? I guess it means even if you have, the power of 1,000 exploding suns.
Metaphorically speaking.
Ha, yeah. If you can't maintain focus and discipline, a well-trained, stable opponent has a very real chance of taking you down.
That's the lesson from Sentry's results.
Okay, that wraps up our analysis of Episode 5. Looking ahead, our next deep dive gets into another fascinating group, Shang-Chi, Another master martial artist. Can he replicate Dragon's success?
Ooh, interesting comparison.
Then we have Black Widow again, but maybe looking at different matchups. The durable Colossus is featured, and the magically empowered Captain Marvel the original, Billy Batson.
So pure skill, espionage, raw durability, and divine magic. That's quite a mix.
It is. What role will skill play versus magic this time? We'll find out. See you on the next Deep Dive.